Hello everybody, my name is Faris bin Razmi. So it's a bit hot today. There is a lot of heat going on here. So maybe I just close the curtain.
So today we are going to discuss about heat transfer. In physics and thermodynamics, there are three modes of heat transfer exist, which is by conduction, convection and radiation. So in this video, we will conduct three separate experiments, just a simple one, to prove that these three modes of heat transfer exist. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first experiment is about heat conduction by Muhammad AZIM.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad AZIM bin AZIZ and I will presenting the heat transfer experiment regarding the topic of conduction. Definition of conduction is the transfer of energy from more energetic particles of a substance to adjacent less energetic ones as a result of interaction between the particles. To understand more about conduction, we'll be conducting a simple experiment. Tool and material required are two identical cups, hot water, and two forks with different material. The procedure of the experiment are: the first step is to fill the hot water into both cups with the same amount of water. The second step is to put both plastic fork and the steel fork into the cups. The third step is to wait for exactly 1 minute. Fourth step, after 1 minute, touch the tips of hook of both forks. The fifth step is to compare the hotness of both forks. The observation we are able to obtain after the experiment is the steel fork is hotter than the plastic fork after 1 minute. The thermal conductivity of steel is higher than the plastic. The steel have higher rate of heat conduction than the plastic. The energy transferred from hot water to the steel fork is faster than the plastic fork. Thus, the steel fork feel hotter than the plastic fork after 1 minute. The conclusion: the heat conduction is the transfer of energy from more energetic particles of a substance to the adjacent less energetic one as the result of interaction between the particles.
Next, the second experiment is about heat convection by AHMAD.
Heat transfer by convection. So as we know, convection occurs only in fluid. It can be said fluid and gas. Convection occurs continuously around us through the atmosphere. However, it is hard to be seen as it happens through the air. So in this experiment, we will try to show the process of convection in fluid. The apparatus and material for our experiment will be a small water tank, and then we also need some food coloring. We also need around about 500 ml of water, and lastly we need a candle or any other heat source. So after the setup apparatus, here I have put everything on the table. That is the small water tank containing 500 ml of water and some food coloring at the bottom of the water tank. I have also ignited the candle, that is the source of heat in this experiment. So take a look closely. Here we can see that some of the food coloring has started to rise up. So when the water at the bottom is heated, it will expand. The density of the expanded water is less dense than the surrounding water, causing it to rise upward. When this happens, the surrounding will rush to fill up the gap left by the hot water that rise upwards, or we can also say that the denser water at the top of the water container will sink downwards to replace the rising hot water. And as the denser water, the colder water at the top of the water container sink downward, the water will then gain heat from the candle or the heat source, and then it will also rise upwards, and it will also rise upwards, and the denser water at the top will sink downwards, and this process will continue all over the time. The same can be said to happen in the atmosphere. However, in the atmosphere we cannot see the warm water, however we can feel it. So in these experiments, the red dye represents the warm water in the atmosphere. Warm air, sorry. So after the experiment is done, there's few things that needs to be noted, which is fluids near the heat source will gain heat, which will then gain energy, and then it will become less denser, making it rise upwards, and then the water at the top of the tank, which is much denser, will go downwards, and then it will then gain the heat source, and then it will rise upwards, and then this will form a convection current, and this convection currents will completely heat the water in the tank.
Then the last experiment is about heat radiation by Muhammad AMIRUL HARITH. So heat radiation is a process where heat waves are emitted that may be absorbed, reflected or transmitted through a colder body. The most obvious example of heat radiation is the sun. Sun heats the earth by emitting ultraviolet rays as a form of radiation. For this simple experiment, we only need 2 water cup or glass, margarine, and of course sunlight exposure, so make sure you do it on the daytime. So first, we need to place the 2 cups under the direct exposure of the sunlight. Then we wait for 30 minutes. The heat radiation from the sun will heat up the cups. Then put 1 slice of margarine inside of each cup. Then wait another 30 minutes to see the result. So as we can see here, the margarine inside the cups has melted due to the heat transfer by heat radiation from the sun.